Hello and welcome to another episode of 1000 Actually Fun Books, where we are on a quest to find the best of fun books. And today we are doing 12 Months to Live by James Patterson and Mike Lupica. So this is a book it's more genre of legal drama and suspense rather than not quite really mystery. There's some mystery elements in here, but that's really not the focus of this. It's much more of a legal drama. A lot of being in the court and surprises in the court with surprise witnesses and things like that, because our main character is a defense attorney. Okay, so the plot revolves around the main character whose name is Jane Smith, and she has a court case that's coming up, and she has to defend a scumbag. She does not like this guy, and he keeps trying to convince her, I'm innocent. I didn't kill the 3 people that I'm accused of being a killing. And she's like, in the words of, the movie Fugitive, I don't care. She doesn't care. So she doesn't care whether he's actually innocent or not. Her job is to defend him in court. So what's I thought really interesting about this. So I don't read a lot of suspense or legal drama, so I don't know if this is typical or not, but to me this felt very unusual because I have watched a lot of legal drama TV shows, and there was a lot of similarities between this and legal drama, but because she's a defense attorney and the man is a scumbag, you don't know whether he's actually innocent or not. She's trying to get him off. She's trying to get an innocent verdict from the jury, but does he deserve it or not? So part of this is throughout the book discovering more evidence that can either exonerate or convict him. And if something is against her client, she won't, she's not going to bring this up. This isn't like a police procedural where if she discovers some new evidence, she's going to this will help or hinder my client, and so it comes to the forefront. No, if it's something that would hurt her client's innocence, even if it's true, then she wouldn't, she doesn't bring that up ever to anybody. So as you go along, you find out more about him, and he turns out to be even a worse scumbag. Okay, now, it's not quite a spoiler, but you don't know, just like the jury doesn't know, did he really do it or not? Now, that doesn't tell you anything about how the jury in the end finds him. Do they convict him or do they leave him innocent? And that is really an interesting question, because throughout the entire book, you as the reader don't really know which way you want the jury to go. Because as you're going along, you're finding out all this scuzzy things about him. You still don't know. Did he do it or not? And whether he did it or not, should he be convicted or not? You know what I mean? There's 2 different questions there. And the main character may have an opinion about this, but it doesn't matter one way or the other, whether she thinks that he got off, should get off, or whether she thinks that he should be convicted. It doesn't matter, because her job is to try and get him released, to be proven innocent, or at least have doubt that he's guilty, right? So that is the main storyline there, finding kind of more things, but there's some B plots going through this book too. One of which is a second set of murders that she has been asked to look into, because she and her partner are kind of not just defense lawyers, but also investigators, so private investigators. Her partner is an ex-cop who kind of doesn't do things quite by the book to try and find some answers about things. So there's another thing going through. And this is where this second thing, where a lot of the suspense comes in, because somebody clearly doesn't want people talking. We have lots of deaths all over the place. And so you kind of get who's going to die next, who's going to be, almost die, that kind of thing. It keeps going along. Okay, the third thread, the final thread through this book is very early on in the book. Jane discovers she has a cancer diagnosis. And so that's where it gets the 12 months to live. Her doctor basically says, you have brain cancer, you have 12 months. And so it's her dealing with this. So coming into the things that I like, I really liked this courtroom drama of, is he guilty, isn't he guilty, do I vote for him to be convicted or not, kind of question running through the whole book. I mean, that was really fascinating, because a lot of legal dramas, you are rooting for one side or the other, and it's very clear cut. I really want them to find him innocent, like a Perry Mason, or or on the other hand, like a Columbo type of thing, where you're really rooting for them to figure out all the evidence to convict the obvious killer. And this is very much not that black and white. So I liked that ambiguity. It really kept your attention throughout the book, because you're constantly going, well, is this next thing going to be, make it worse or make it better for the client? And what do I want the outcome of the jury to be? It keeps, kind of being up in that air. And you don't know until the very end what the jury actually does do. I really liked that question there. Because if you think about it, like a Columbo, I know that's really old-fashioned, but a Columbo type of episode, or a Hercule Poirot, or a Miss Marple, they're going to figure it out at the end. That's not even a question, right? They're going to get the bad guy and convict him. Or sometimes it's the defense lawyer, like a Perry Mason type of thing, where the person is innocent. It's just a matter of how they're going to figure out how to get him off, or whatever, right? It's that idea of, and a lot of those dramas, illegal dramas, or police dramas, you are rooting for one side, and in the end it's going to be that happy ending. And this one really had that gray area that's just prominent, and so you were questioning it the whole book. I liked that. It was very different, I thought. I liked the way cancer was treated for the most part. So we don't have any, it's not a medical book. It doesn't talk about any of the medical details. Instead, it's just she has this diagnosis, and then how does she react to that? So for the most part, for about halfway through the book, I thought it was very realistic. She was in denial, deep in denial. She doesn't want to have this, be the first thing people think about when they meet her. She doesn't want it to become, there is the lawyer with the cancer as she's, doing this court case. She wants her court case to stand and fall on its own merits, not have anything to do with her cancer. She doesn't want her family, her friends, the people that she knows to look at her and pity her. And so she does both a lot of denial and a lot of, this is not actually impacting me. I feel healthy, so obviously I am healthy kind of level thing. And this is, I think, very realistic. She puts off a little bit some of the treatments because she's like, I'm fine. I don't feel like I'm sick. I don't really need the medical treatments. And again, a lot of people actually in real life do that. So I felt that was very realistic. The only part dealing with the cancer that I would put as a negative is the repeated, dramatic, I'm going to reveal this to somebody, and at the last second doesn't. So she will go up to somebody, maybe her sister, maybe her, partner at work, maybe somebody else, and be like, I've got something to tell you. With the thought process that you're following along, that she is going to tell this person about her cancer. And I've got something to tell you. And the chapter will end, and the next chapter find out that she didn't. She changed the subject. I've got something to tell you about my court case. I've got something to tell you about my day, or whatever it may be. I've got something to tell you, whatever, relational type of things. So I can name, just off the top of my head, 3 times the author does this, and I think he did it several other times before I was really paying attention. So at some point during this, it just got a little bit repetitive. Either come out and say it, or stop having this cliffhanger, I'm going to say it, and then not really. So that one I didn't really like. This was more of a dramatic moment that the author overused. The idea that she didn't want to tell people, very realistic. I loved that. The fact that she almost got it out of her mouth and then chose not to, repeatedly both got tiresome, and honestly, I didn't feel like it fit her character very well. She seems very bold, very much a follow through, nothing scares her kind of woman, except for this one thing that just repeatedly she chickens out. And so, anyway, that's something that I didn't really like. Okay, another thing I like about this book is despite all the death and people getting shot right and left and committing suicide or, suicide or anything like that, there's really no gore involved. People get shot and, they wake up at the hospital kind of thing. They black out. Or, somebody has been killed, but they don't really describe the crime scene. It's just about the motive for what was going on. So this is, for people who don't like gore, this is fantastic. Another thing I liked is the main character, our girl Jane Smith, is a very likable and feels very real. She's a very outgoing. She likes drama, like the idea of standing up in front of the court and telling her story, just adrenaline rush. She loves it. And this is not my personality, but she seems very relatable, real, and likable as a character. Not a perfect person by any means, doesn't always make the choices that I would make in those same situations, but they felt real, authentic, and reasonable, so I like that. The character development did a good job. Same thing with relationships. For the most part, again, there were some that I'm just like, I would not react that way to that person in that circumstances, but it doesn't feel poorly written. It feels written well, just not the choices I would have personally made, and I like that. I don't have to be, look for a clone of myself in a book, right? It can be fine if it's a different person, as long as it feels authentic to the person and real to the circumstances and everything. Okay, so one thing, however, saying all that another dislike in this would be perhaps the level of TV drama here. A little bit soap opera-y to level, or unrealistic in certain levels. There's definitely a little bit of over drama, I guess you could say. It's not overacting, but over drama. The kind of things that you look like, go, that would never happen in real life. And it's really, pretty obvious. I would say this is especially true with her partner, Jimmy. A lot of the book is from Jimmy's point of view as he's doing his investigating as a private eye. And I just see a lot of the stuff from his point of view and go, that wouldn't really happen. There's too much of, going around true police procedures and kind of towing the line and crossing over the line to legality and what he's doing and stuff that I'm like, it works for a drama, a TV drama kind of thing. Real life, you can really just see it kind of going, not really. So if you like something really authentic, true to life in the investigation part, this book doesn't have it, okay? Let's see. There are something that I don't know that I dislike so much, but you have to be aware that it's there, is this is a series, Jane Smith. So you can be sure she hasn't died in this book, which isn't surprising, as it's 12 months to live, and this book only takes place over the course of maybe a month. So she survives to the end to have several sequels. And there are some leftover questions on this that you wonder, I don't know, is the author setting this up so the questions will be answered in the next book, or is it just going to be left open-ended? Some of that has to do with the defendant. Again, you kind of don't know what he did or not done. And if he didn't do it, maybe somebody else did. And are those questions that are going to be answered in some way in the next book? Or is it just going to be left, the way real life is? You just don't know. And so that's kind of an interesting ending to this. It does have a satisfactory ending to the trial, but that's really the only satisfactory ending you get from this. You do have some questions answered, but the vast majority, especially, dealing with this whole murder situation, all the people that die in this, is who is behind it all. Are there separate things going on? Are they tied in somehow? And you don't really know in the end. So overall, I really like this book. I really liked it. It was something that I enjoyed. I wanted to come back to reading more. And when I set it down, it's a book that I wasn't sure I was going to like a suspense book. And maybe because this was more legal drama than it was really suspense, maybe that's why I liked it so much. But I really did. I really liked it. It didn't make me cringe when I read it or, anything like that. I don't know. I enjoyed it. So I give it thumbs up. It's going to end up on my list of books that are fun books that everyone should read. And I will say, in tying that in, so this was written by James Patterson, and the previous book I reviewed, Eruption, that was also co-authored by James Patterson, I didn't like at all. That one got a big thumbs down. It was in my hall of disappointment. So the fact that I'm doing a second James Patterson, and I really like it, so that makes me wonder, is it James Patterson that, just had different levels of how much I liked it? Or was it really the second author? So is it really, because with a second author like this, Mike Lupica, I tend to think when they co-author things like this, and you have a really famous name for a first author and a less famous for your second author, I tend to think, and I don't know if this is true, that it's really written by the second author, and the first author just lends his name to it to bring attention to the book, to make it sell more. So it could be that what it is I'm really liking this Lupica author, and it has nothing to do really with James Patterson. So I would have to, and I probably will eventually, read more James Patterson books and maybe read more Mike Lupica books to really know one way or the other which author it is that I'm really liking versus an Eruption where I really didn't like it, where it could have just been not so much that I'm disliking James Patterson, but I dislike the mesh between him and Michael Crichton. I don't know. So that's, like I said, that's one of those interesting things when you have multiple authors on something. So I'm going to move on now to part 2, which is which book I am doing next, and I've already actually started reading it, so I'm hiding my bookmark. So part 2, my next book is Carry On Jeeves. So this is by P.G., I think it's pronounced Wodehouse, could be Woodhouse, but I think Wodehouse. And this is a classic comedy, a humor. And before I started reading it, all I knew was it's supposed to be funny, and it's supposed to be about a butler. And a butler who's kind of more in charge than the master of the house. And it sounds fun. So I'm not going to tell you anything more about it, this review. I will do it on the next video. So if you'd like to hear about that, please watch that video. And thank you very much for watching.